Recently, I celebrated 1 year on YouTube, so I thought I'd let everyone know some more about me. If we're meeting for the first time, I'm Alistair, and to know more about English, languages or accents, you should consider subscribing. Let's kick our 20 facts off with number 1. I'm right-handed, and I absolutely mean right-handed. I'm not one of those people who can use both hands. I'm not what we call ambidextrous. However, when I was in my late teens or early 20s, I decided to teach myself to play table tennis or ping pong with my left hand. Perhaps my inspiration was Rafael Nadal, famous tennis player, who is right-handed, and he taught himself to play tennis left-handed to get an advantage, and he's still playing today at 33. Recently won his 12th French Open, and an amazing sports star. So I practiced for 2 or 3 years, and actually I was never a professional, just for fun. It turned out that my left hand was pretty much equally as good as my right hand, and some people actually found it harder to play me left-handed than to play me right-handed. Fact number 2. There are 2 countries in the world that I have lived in. The United Kingdom, or should I say the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and Latvia. I lived in Latvia for about 3 years, and the rest of my life, about 30 years, I lived in the UK. Now, technically, Northern Ireland and England are 2 constituent countries of the UK, so that still only counts as 1 UN recognised country. So I've lived in 2 countries. Saying that, fact 3 is I've visited 34 countries in the world. I really enjoy travelling. If you've watched any of my videos, you've hopefully picked up on that. Geography is something that fascinates me. Only 2 of those countries were outside Europe. That was in North America, the United States of America and Canada. All of the others, the other 32 countries, were all within Europe. What's your favourite country? What's the best country you've ever visited? By the way, this video is premiering, so if you're watching it, ask some questions over here in the live chat and I'll answer what I can. Next, I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. They are 8, 11 and 12 years older than me, so there's quite a distance. There are 2 doctors and 2 teachers in my family, so there was never any rivalry, but it's interesting. 2 of us live in Northern Ireland, 1 lives in Scotland and 1 lives in Canada. Next, I received my first atlas, and this is it, on my 5th birthday, which was September 1990. This is my first atlas. Look at it, it's quite old-fashioned. If I actually come into it, you can see that the first edition was in 1965, revised in 1971, and then this 7th edition is in 1976, printed in Czechoslovakia, which of course is a country no longer exists. And what I found most interesting as I was preparing for this video is some of the statistics at the back. If you take the country of India, for example, in Asia, the population is only 500 million. And now in 2019, or depending on when you're watching this, people estimate there's about 1.2 or so billion people living in India. So from 500 million to 1.2 billion, absolutely crazy. Now, I used to sit down with my aunt and I would ask her questions, and I would ask her questions that I knew the answer. And you can see there's a lot of pages, and I would sit in the afternoon, particularly Sunday afternoon, and pester the life out of her. This was my first atlas. And interestingly, after this, I wanted to get a new atlas every year because, of course, as you know, with the geography, the fall of the Soviet Union, and things that were happening in Yugoslavia and other parts of the world, there was new countries. So nearly every year, I demanded a new atlas that could be kept up to date with how things were changing in the geopolitical sphere. Most people, when they're young boys or young girls, have like a dream. What's their dream profession? I wanted to be a cricketer for a very short period of time, but really my dream profession up until about 18 or 19 was to be a meteorologist, someone who studies the weather. And perhaps the atlas that we've just looked at intrigued and piqued my interest in this area. I've always been interested in the weather. Some people say that British people, they talk about weather as small talk. Not for me. Weather is large talk and most interesting. Now, if you ask a lot of my friends from school, one of their favourite stories about me in childhood was the 5%. Yes, 5% I got in an art exam. This was in 3rd year, in year 9. I think I was 13 or 14. We had art for 2 hours a week, and for the autumn semester, the autumn term, from September to Christmas, we had to create a project. We had to turn a shoebox into like a bedroom into a living room style. And 2 hours every week, I put about 10 minutes work into it. And I think on the last day, I went into the bin and I picked out some people that other stuff had thrown away, kind of half coloured it in blue, put very, very little effort into it, and I ended up getting 5%. It was a mark of 2 out of 40. My teacher, a gentleman called Mr. McKillen, asked if this was my best effort. I said no. that I was going to finish art this year and it wasn't particularly important, and that I was really looking forward to do my evaluation. So I evaluated another student's work and I critiqued some of the famous artists. I enjoyed the history of art and things like this, and I ended up getting 57 out of 60 for a total score of 59%, which was okay. So I got 5% in art. Very interesting. Another thing from that year of my life was every day at 9:45, quarter to 10, I left the classroom and just wandered around school for 10 or 15 minutes as the disguise of, may I go to the toilet. I went back to see Mr. McKillen 10, 15 years later, and we had a little chuckle about it. He remembers the period. Next, this concerns probably my longest holiday. This was a 1-month holiday I had with my friend Mike around Europe in 2007. We visited 11 countries. We did some hitchhiking, all in the cheap. We stayed with friends. We slept in train stations and in parks, by the Autobahn in Germany, all sorts of crazy places. But at the end of the trip, we flew from Milan to London Stansted. And then after this, I had to fly back to Belfast and he was going up to Nottingham. And I had about 7 or 8 hours. So I had a shower in the airport. And then I went and sat in W.H. Smith and I got the latest Harry Potter book, which was the last one, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And I sat down. I had no money. I was a student. I just finished traveling around Europe, spent all my money. And I sat down for about 7 hours and read the book. Next, this one is something to do with exercise. Over here or over here, you can see a pull-up bar or a chin-up bar. So if you hold your hands like this with your palms away from you and pull up, it's called a chin-up. If you hold like this with your palms facing you and pull up, it's called a pull-up. Now, because of my body weight being very light, I'm able to do a one-handed pull-up, and that's something that, I don't know, maybe I'll do in a future video. I'm told that 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000 or some very small number of people are able to do a one-handed pull-up like this. I'm not able to do a one-handed chin-up, but I am able to do a one-handed pull-up. Next, we have my current favourite board game or table game. It's called The Resistance. It has spies, and The Resistance, I've played it with a lot of my students who might recognise it. Absolutely fantastic game. This video is not sponsored. The Resistance is great for talking, it's great for having a laugh, so long as everybody is invested in the game. If you've not played it, I highly recommend The Resistance. Now, next is my favourite meal. My favourite meal is a curry, probably a Madras curry. But not many people know that I didn't actually try any curry until I was 19 years old. I lived in Belfast for 18, 19 years, never tried a curry. And then when I moved to Nottingham, I tried a curry. It was actually a mild curry, I should say, a korma. And then after this, I decided I love curry. And now a Madras curry is absolutely my favourite dish. Okay, next we have a rather obscure one. I have a condition called Osgood-Schlatter Disease. It affects my knees. And basically, it was a swelling of the bone, which happens, I think, to about 1 in 6 teenage boys. I was sort of 12 or 13. This meant I wasn't able to do sport or physical activity for a few years, which really upset me because I played tennis, table tennis, hockey, and things like this, and I wasn't really able to do sport. I still have a little sort of bulge around my knee, which I'll not show you. But Osgood-Schlatter Disease is something I had. I still have it. The pain isn't so much anymore. Next, even though I'm currently an English teacher and I'm a maths teacher, it was actually a geography award I got during my A-levels in school. My school was Sullivan Upper, same school as Rory McIlroy, the golfer, if any of you knew him. I got the geography award and I'm very proud of that. If you're interested in watching a geography video and would like to know about double landlocked countries, check out this video up here. It's one of my early videos. It's quite funny, but it's very interesting. If you like geography, check it out. Speaking of geography, earlier you heard I've been to 34 countries in the world. I've also been, and I think this is more impressive, I've been to 26 of the 50 US states. Lots of people ask me what are my favourites, and I have a few answers. I like Vermont. I went to Stowe, Vermont. I went skiing, and I was also there in the summer. Fantastic state. I like Utah, kind of out in the west, with the canyons and deserts and things like that. Colorado, colourful Colorado, is absolutely amazing. It's probably the state where I spent the most time. South Dakota's got a lot of history. Really enjoy it. So they're probably my 4 favourite states that I've been to. Speaking of America, it's probably worth telling you about my favourite ever present, my Stetson hat. My sister bought this for me just outside the Grand Canyon in July 2002. So it's 17 years old. It's been to every country pretty much I've been to. Fantastic at keeping you dry, fantastic at keeping you cool, keeps the sun off. Absolutely brilliant hat. Love it. Best ever present I received. Quite a few people have asked me what are my favourite movies. I have 3 favourite movies. These never change. The Silence of the Lambs, Pulp Fiction, and The Shawshank Redemption. If you've not seen them, go and check them out. They're absolutely amazing movies. I would happily watch them again and again. Similarly, people ask me, what's your favourite novel? My favourite novel is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I also enjoyed the movie with Gregory Peck. I can't remember if he got an award or an Oscar or something for this, but To Kill a Mockingbird, it's about racial injustice in the southern states of America. A powerful story. The character Atticus Finch is just a beacon of how you and I should live our lives. And there's lots of stuff you can watch on YouTube about him. But To Kill a Mockingbird is an absolutely fantastic book. I highly recommend watching it. I highly recommend reading it, I should say. Number 19, I'm a person who likes routine. My morning routine is get up, have a shower, and then have porridge. And porridge is absolutely crucial. I only started having porridge when I moved to Latvia. I cook it with water, put in some salt, then I chop up fruit, put in milk and fruit juice, stir it together. The more fruits, the merrier. And I can't start a day anymore if I don't have porridge. That's my morning routine. I don't know. Do you have a morning routine? Do you have other routines during the day? For me, I've got to start my day with porridge. That's a vital routine for me. And number 20. My favourite number is the number 87. The reason for this is a little bit obscure, and it's something to do with Australian cricket, actually. In the sport of cricket, the number 100 is very important. If a batsman scores 100 runs, this is called a century. It's kind of like a milestone, and it can often contribute to their team, to his team or to her team winning the match. The Australians say that if you take away 13, which is an unlucky number for some reason, from 100 you get 87, and they seem to think that this is significant. I think Australian cricketers always say that something always happens on 87 or 187, 287, whether that be for an individual or for a team. So if you're interested in maths lessons, English lessons, or Northern Ireland accent lessons, drop me an email. I'll put a link in the description below, and I look forward to helping you. By the way, YouTube reckons you want to watch this video next. Go ahead and find out if they're correct. If you want to know anything more, follow me on Instagram and send me a direct message, and I will get back to you.